So, the NBA just released its first round of fan voting for the All-Star game. So, we get to see the results of who's gotten the most votes so far from the fans. And in this video, I just thought I'd react to it and go over and see what makes sense, what doesn't, and talk a little bit about it. So let's start in the West with the front court. I think this is where the fans have done the best job, especially at the top. LeBron, Jokic, and Kawhi, the top three. No surprises there. All very deserving to be All-Stars. Probably the front court I would select too. And they all have over 1.2 million votes. LeBron leads the way with more than 2.2 million votes. And he's second overall, trailing only KD, which makes sense. LeBron is the most popular player in the NBA. So those are the top three. It makes sense. They've all been great. And then they're followed by Anthony Davis and Paul George. Anthony Davis has almost double the amount of votes Paul George does, but I think they're both also worthy All-Star selections. I'd say actually Paul George is having a better year than Anthony Davis, but I think they'll both definitely make it, and they're both deserving to make it. And then we get to number 6, who's Zion, and whether he's deserving to be this high, I would definitely have him in the top 10. And it does make sense because fans want to see Zion, and I want to see Zion in the All-Star game. The All-Star game is for the fans, and Zion, more than 400,000 votes, it makes sense because he is a highlight machine, and we all want to see him in the All-Star game. So he's also having a very good season, averaging about 24 points, 7-8 boards. Crazy efficiency because he only shoots at the rim, and though the Pelicans don't have a great record, he definitely has a case to be an All-Star. And we get maybe one of the biggest surprises, which is Andrew Wiggins. I guess all the bandwagon Warriors fans have hopped back on the bandwagon. We'll see a bit more of that later. But Wiggins, he is playing better this season. I don't think he'd be an All-Star. I don't think he's deserving to be an All-Star, but still, it's good to see him being recognized for improving, especially defensively, and giving more effort in with the Warriors. And he's not going to be an all-star, but it's good to see him getting some recognition because he is playing well. And we get to Christian Wood, someone else who has been playing very well. Whether he'll make the All-Star game is a bit unclear. Maybe it is really tough. So probably not, but he might. He's playing really well for the Rockets. The Rockets have been playing really well since the James Harden trade. Their defense has stepped up massively, and it just looks like a team again that's playing together. So that's good for the Rockets and for Rockets fans. And Christian Wood has been very good this season. Definitely a candidate to win Most Improved. And then Brandon Ingram, he's next on the list. He's also been playing well. It's just the Pelicans' record. Can they really get 2 All-Stars with their record? And if you had to choose, I'd probably just about edge for Zion, but it's pretty close, and Ingram has been good this season. And then we get to maybe the biggest shock, or it's not really a shock because Melo does have a big fan base, but Carmel Anthony is 10th. He's obviously not played at an All-Star level, but if he were to announce he was retiring at the end of the season, they had that thing where Dirk and Wade both played in the All-Star game. So you could do a similar thing to Melo. I think he deserves something like that because he has been a great player for his career. And then some snubs from this. The first one would probably be DeRozan. DeRozan's playing very well, and the Spurs are playing well. So maybe he deserves to be there. And then also Rudy Gobert. The Jazz have one of the best records in the NBA. They might have the best record in the NBA, and Gobert is obviously a massive piece for that, but he doesn't really get his respect in terms of All-Star games. I think he's only made 1 or 2, and part of that is he just doesn't really have an offensive game, and it's hard to be an All-Star based off of only defense. So that's a bit interesting. Okay, let's move on to the West guards. Number 1, Steph Curry. Obviously, he shoots from very deep. All the kids love him. No surprise to see him as one of 3 players with over 2 million votes. And then next, Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, they're sort of the next tier. I would say they're the 2 best West guards apart from Steph. So, though they've both had up and down seasons, they both definitely deserve to be there. And then the next two, Ja Morant and Donovan Mitchell, they both also deserve to be there. And I love seeing Ja Morant getting this recognition because though he has missed a few games, the Grizzlies are playing very well with and without Morant, and he's been great and he's very fun to watch. Donovan Mitchell, the Jazz have been great. He's probably been their best player, maybe. It's pretty debatable, but he's definitely their franchise player, so he deserves to be there. So that's something. And then next, the two Suns guards, Devin Booker and Chris Paul. It'll be interesting to see which one of them makes the All-Star game. They're both deserving to an extent, so it'll be interesting. I could see it going either way, but they're both very good players, so we'll have to see with that one. And then CJ McCollum, unfortunately, he suffered that injury. If he hadn't gotten injured, I think he would definitely have made the All-Star game, but it's really tough, especially the West guards, one of the most competitive races. So we'll see, but he's played really well this season and deserves some credit for that, even though he did get injured. Next, we get to Shea. Shea has also been good this season. The Thunder have been respectable, which is a bit of a surprise, so we'll have to see. He is a very good player. I'm sure he'll make a few All-Star games in the future. Whether it's this season, I'm not so sure, because the West guards is just so competitive. Like, only so many of them can make it. And then, sort of a shock, Klay Thompson. He hasn't played this season, so he's obviously not going to make the team. But a lot of people clearly are fans of Klay, and I like Klay. Who doesn't like Klay? But you just feel like, part of me is like, why is he even eligible to receive votes? And part of me is like, who cares? It's for the fans. The fans can do whatever they want. So a bit split on that, but Klay has almost 100,000 votes. Okay, moving on to the Eastern Conference, and the three front court players with over 1 million votes, KD, Giannis, and Joel Embiid. No surprise there. Sort of like in the West, I think they're obviously the three best players. KD has been great in his return. Giannis has been Giannis, putting up those type of numbers. The Bucks, they haven't been great, but they've been pretty good. And then Embiid, the Sixers have been really good. You see his importance with their record with him and without him, so he definitely deserves to be there. And then he's followed by Jason Tatum, who is the fourth East front court player, and I think he deserves to be there. He has missed some games, but he's clearly an all-star and is at that level. And then we get to the two Heat players, and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and these are more interesting because it's quite a stretch to say they're both making the All-Star game if the Heat are still under 500. But they both clearly showed that they're very good players in the playoffs last year, but it'll be interesting to see whether they do make it in the end, because they're both clearly very talented players, and Jimmy has missed quite a few games, so we'll have to see with that one, but a bit interesting that they're both up there. And then we get to Sabonis. I think Sabonis should be an all-star. He's playing very, very well this season, and it's good to see him get some recognition even in a small market like Indiana. And then Julius Randle, he really is the heart and soul of the Knicks. Like, everything they do goes through him, so it's no surprise to see him getting quite a few votes, and I think he deserves them. Whether he'll make the All-Star game, I'm not sure, but it's good to see him get some recognition because he has been very good this season. And then Gordon Hayward, he's also been solid with the Hornets, but I don't think he'll make it just due to the Hornets record. And then Jeremy Grant, he has played well this season, though the Pistons are like one of the worst teams in the league, so it's a bit empty stats-ish. He's not really helping his team win. No one on the Pistons is helping them win because they're not winning. So we'll have to see with Grant. He's not going to make the All-Star game, but maybe he could win Most Improved Player. Next, we get to the East guards, the final section and slot. Just one thing for the East front court. I think a snub is Chris Middleton. he's a guy who doesn't get much recognition, but he's always the second option on the box, putting up points per game in the 20s on great efficiency. So he should definitely be ahead of guys like Gordon Hayward and Jeremy Grant. But moving on to the East guards, number one is Bradley Beal with over 1,200,000 votes. This is obviously well deserved. He is averaging like 40 points a game. No, he's not averaging like 40 points a game, but he's averaging quite a few points a game. He also has to play with the Wizards, so he deserves a break. Go play with some good players on the All-Star team. And the East guards, it might be the weakest position, sort of, and like there's no like one guy who stands out this season, so a lot of people are just voting for Beal, and I think it's well deserved. And then the two Brooklyn guys, Kyrie and Hardin, I'm pretty confident in saying they'll both make the All-Star game. Kyrie has had some great performances, has had some no-shows, literally, and it all balances out to him being an All-Star. And then Hardin, he'll get some more votes, just because he was traded from the Rockets and he hasn't really played much this season on one team consistently, so that might be taking him down a few pegs, but he definitely deserves to be an All-Star. And then Jaylen Brown, I think he's definitely like ahead of the rest in terms of who should be an All-Star for the Eastern Conference guards. Doesn't have a huge lead on guys like Zach Levine, but he should, because he brings it on both ends for a winning team, and his shooting has improved so much, and he definitely deserves to be up there. And that's all I have on Jaylen Brown. And then Zach Levine, I don't think Zach Levine should be an All-Star. I know he's averaging like 27 points per game, but he is not a good defender, especially off ball, and the Bulls aren't a winning team, and he turns the ball over so much. His assist to turnover rate is just terrible, so I don't think he should be an All-Star, especially with his current situation playing for the Bulls. And then we get to Trey Young. He has had a very up and down season. There's been games where he's looked great. There's been games where he's looked terrible. Will he make it? Maybe. We'll just have to see. It depends on quite a few factors. But he's been up and down. And then Colin Sexton, he's also been good this season, averaging like 20-something points per game, high 20s. So he's deserving to make... I don't know if he's deserving to make the All-Star game. He's deserving of this recognition, and he's playing very well, and the Cavs are actually an okay team, and he's a big part of that. And then we get to some crazy ones. Derrick Rose, you can see why he did get so many votes, just because of his ties with Chicago, and then Pistons fans also voting for him. He's very well liked, but shouldn't be an All-Star, obviously. And Russell Westbrook, he has also been up and down. It looks like he's turned it around in the last few games, but to start the season, it was pretty rough, and he's been very inefficient, but he's getting quite a few triple-doubles, so I don't think he'll make it, but, he's not the worst guy to have here. A similar thing with Ben Simmons. Hasn't been great this season, but still a valuable player with his playmaking and defense, so we'll have to see with Simmons. I don't think he'll make the All-Star game, but he hasn't been terrible this season. So those are all the votes for... Oh yeah, just with the East guards, some maybe snubs are the Raptors guards, VanVleet and Lowry. I think one of them, if the Raptors start winning and get above 500, I think one of them has to make the All-Star game, especially over guys like Zach Levine and Colin Sexton. But that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.